I remember the warmth of a late summer night in La Marsa, my hometown in Tunisia. The air was filled with jasmine flower scent, and the whispers of my parents and close friends gathered on the balcony of my aunt's home. I was very little, 5 maybe. I don't want to say my age. We had just finished dinner and were enjoying a delicious homemade lemon pie. Someone, maybe my mother or my father, mentioned the recent arrest and spectacular trial of Islamist militants. Someone else brought up the senility of our president, Bourguiba, the supreme fighter and founding father of modern Tunisia. Another person spoke about the rise to power of his general, Ben Ali, who would soon become our dictator. My aunt came in at that moment, carrying a pot of hot tea and cups. She asked everyone to hush. Neighbors could be listening. They are in the garden below. It was dangerous, dangerous. They could be informers to the regime. This is perhaps one of the most vivid and earliest experience and memories of dictatorship. From an early age, I was taught to fear the neighbors, even the walls. The walls had ears. Pervasive fear, nepotism, and corruption. The ruling family abused their position of power for their own personal gain. They used extortion and blackmail and misused public funds to benefit their cronies and business interests. Public media was a propaganda machine. The unique party selling us this image of le miracle économique, Tunisia, the economic miracle. Constant messaging masking the harsh reality of poverty and regional marginalization. Total cognitive dissonance at a societal level. Any form of dissent was faced with brutal crackdowns. Human rights activists, feminists, lawyers, independent journalists, political opponents all face the threat of losing their jobs, being attacked, jailed, tortured, abducted, forced into exile. Growing up, I was made to believe that people were dumb, that people deserved their collective fate, as if I wasn't part of the people, as if my fate wasn't also theirs. It's easy, especially for a child, to believe that our nature is simply submissive, because it's all we've ever known, right? For centuries, we learned to lay very low, to avoid being too visible, too different, too loud, to avoid becoming a threat to power. Ironically, I was saved by our partial educational system, which didn't teach us that our history was made of revolts. When peaceful protests sparked back in December 2010, my father was convinced it was yet another uprising, doomed to end the same way, a popular revolt, brutally crushed by the regime. Unaware of our true history, I was felt compelled to join the movement, to join the collective, in what felt like a historic moment. The same people I was raised to disregard, they were peacefully protesting, simply asking jobs, freedom, and dignity. They were liberating all of us from the harshest dictatorships of our time and police state. They were dying for all of us. I didn't know it then, but when I gathered myself, I had the courage to join the collective. I had joined the Tunisian revolution. the revolution for freedom and dignity that is now known as the Arab Spring. Why is this experience still relevant, right? Well, today the fear I felt back then in Tunisia is now being felt in places that once felt safe. In Europe, in North America, other democratic places that are backsliding. This is a dark age of global spread of authoritarianism, fascism, and live-stream genocide. Those of us who know dictatorship in our bones recognize the signs right away. Mass deportations of migrants defying court orders in the US. The violent silencing of pro-Palestinian students and protesters in Europe and American campuses. We see it in billionaires like Bolloré, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg, capturing mainstream media and owning the social media that shape our everyday lives. In the far-right ideologies gaining ground, and their extremist political parties like AfD, Fratelli d'Italia, Reform, Rassemblement National, and Chega winning important elections, while attacking women's, minorities, and religious groups' freedoms and rights. Even the UN and the International Criminal Court, dedicated to peace and justice, face attacks by the US president and its administration simply for doing their work. Now, more than ever, we need to talk about movements of resistance and liberation. Today, more than ever, we must remember that collectively, leadership is a collective act. Leadership is born from collective intelligence, from the desire to bring an idea to life. One person might take credit for it, but in truth, an idea only becomes real when enough people believe in it, nurture it, and carry it forward. That's what we need, now and urgently. More collectives at all levels of society, organizations and institutions. More connections and large-scale organizing. Learning from our mistakes, learning from one another. Everywhere, to give birth to the kind of world we want the future generations to live in. Unlike fascists, who seek to establish the supremacy of one race and one religion, we need to be bold and radical in our solidarity and our cross-continent collaborations with countries across the global majority and the North, connecting on equal foot. What is less known is the Tunisian revolution inspired other Arab nations, sparking a domino effect. Maybe some of you remember. These revolutions also inspired protests on every inhabited continent then. On 15th of October 2011, the related Occupy movement and Indignados sparked protests in 950 cities across 82 countries. That's why I believe that one people's liberation somewhere has the power to liberate all of us everywhere. One people's progress somewhere opens the path to people's progress everywhere. If we take a good look, we can see the interconnectedness of our fates, woven through every aspect of our daily lives. In the air we breathe, in the water we drink, in the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the energy we consume, the technology we use. We come to understand the individual and collective responsibility we bear towards one another, and we owe to each other. However, we all know that our way of life is unsustainable, and that's why we must harness our collective intelligence to reimagine what it means to be human in the 21st century. and how we should organize as a species to preserve the lives of the 8.2 billion souls on this earth. We need to reimagine our relationship with the earth, the soil, the seas, the animals, the plants. We must rethink political systems, explore alternative models of production, and build economies that sustain and regenerate all life. We must rethink all that matters for humanity, including redefining our relationship with machines, renewable energy, and the future of work. To conclude, today in Tunisia, the situation is dire. Khayyam Turki, my friend and political leader, has been in jail for almost 2 years now for protesting the new oppressive regime. Other friends, like Shrifa Riyahi, Murad Zghidi, Ahmed Sweb, Sonia Dahmani, and many others, are also in prison for expressing their opinions against the current regime. I reached out to Khayyam, and despite his unfair treatment and harsh imprisonment, he still believes the revolution and all the transition to democracy are all worth it. Many of you work inside the system, trying to bend it towards justice. It's hard. Bureaucracy is often blamed for inertia, but you are proof that creativity lies even inside constraint. I would like to conclude by paraphrasing anthropologist Margaret Mead's. Never doubt that a group of thoughtful, committed collectives of citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.